The vast emptiness of space was interrupted by the steady approach of the spacecraft Artemis, its sleek hull glinting in the distant sun. Inside, the mood was a blend of anticipation and tension as the crew prepared for a mission unlike any they had undertaken before. Captain Leon Reyes, a man whose features were etched with the experiences of countless explorations, stood at the forefront, his gaze locked on the view screen displaying their destination. The planet before them was a mesmerizing sight. Unlike the rocky, barren planets they had explored before, this one had a surface that gleamed like a sea of liquid glass, reflecting the light of its star in a dazzling display. It was both beautiful and enigmatic, a jewel in the darkness of space. Leon turned to his crew, each a specialist in their field. There was Dr. Ilara, a biologist with an insatiable curiosity for alien ecosystems, her eyes now shining with the prospect of discovering new life forms. Beside her stood Dr. Kale, the team's geologist, his stoic demeanor belying his excitement at studying such a unique planetary composition. And then there was Milo, the youngest of the crew, a technician whose enthusiasm was as infectious as it was endearing. "We're about to make history," Leon announced, his voice calm yet carrying an undercurrent of excitement. "This planet is unlike anything we've encountered. Our mission is to explore, understand, and most importantly, to learn. Stay sharp, stay together, and trust in each other." The crew nodded, each mentally preparing for the descent. The spacecraft began its approach, engines humming softly as it entered the planet's atmosphere. The surface drew closer, revealing intricate patterns in the glassy terrain like a giant cosmic mosaic. As the Artemis descended, Leon felt the familiar thrill of discovery, the allure of the unknown. This was why he had become an explorer, to stand on the edge of the unknown and leap into it. The spacecraft touched down with a gentle thud, and the crew fell silent for a moment, in awe of the new world that awaited them outside. "Remember, this planet is uncharted territory. We don't know what to expect. Stay vigilant and report anything unusual," Leon instructed, his eyes scanning the alien landscape through the viewport. One by one, the crew donned their exploration suits, each step methodical and practiced. The airlock hissed open, revealing the glass-like surface beneath them. They stepped out onto the planet, the ground solid yet eerily reflective under their feet. The planet stretched out before them, a vast expanse of shimmering glass, silent and waiting. Leon took a deep breath, the filtered air of his suit a stark contrast to the alien environment outside. "Let's begin," he said, his voice resolute, filled with the promise of the unknown. And with that, the crew of the Artemis took their first steps into the mystery of the glass planet, unaware of the wonders and dangers that lay ahead. The first day on the glass planet brought with it a sense of surreal exploration for the crew of the Artemis. Captain Leon Reyes led the team across the sparkling terrain, their boots leaving faint impressions on the glassy surface. The planet's atmosphere was thin but breathable, adding to the eeriness of the silent landscape. As they ventured further, Dr. Ilara, always keen-eyed, noticed something on the horizon. "Look there!" she exclaimed, pointing towards a series of towering structures that seemed to shimmer in the distance. The team halted, squinting against the glare. Before them rose a city, or what appeared to be one, made entirely of glass. Its buildings soared towards the sky, their surfaces reflecting the planet's light in a kaleidoscope of colors. It was both mesmerizing and confounding. "How is this possible?" muttered Milo, his young face etched with wonder and disbelief. "We need to investigate," Leon decided, a mix of caution and curiosity in his voice. "But stay alert. This could be a natural phenomenon we don't understand yet." They approached the city, their steps quickening with anticipation. But as they drew closer, an unsettling feeling took hold. The city seemed to fluctuate, its edges blurring and reshaping, like a mirage in a desert. Dr. Kale, ever the skeptic, voiced his concern. This doesn't feel right. Could it be some sort of optical illusion? Suddenly, as they reached the outskirts of the city, it vanished. The grand structures and winding streets dissolved into the air, leaving them standing in the midst of the empty, glassy plain once more. The team stood in stunned silence, trying to process what they had just witnessed. "It was never there," Leon said slowly, his mind racing. "A mirage, but why? How?" Milo turned around, surveying their surroundings. It felt so real, so tangible. Dr. Ilara knelt, touching the glassy ground. This planet, it's not just a landscape, it's something more. Leon looked back towards where the city had stood, his thoughts clouded with questions. This planet is testing us, showing us visions. We need to understand the why and the how. The team gathered, their mission taking on a new urgency. The glass planet was not just a physical enigma. It was a puzzle that challenged their perception of reality. "We'll set up a research base here," Leon decided. "We need to study this phenomenon in detail." As night fell on the glass planet, the crew of the Artemis prepared their camp, their minds alive with theories and speculations. Above them, the stars shone brightly, the only constant in a world that defied understanding. The Mirage City was their first encounter with the planet's mysteries, a beginning that promised more secrets hidden in the depths of the shimmering, glassy world. The night on the glass planet descended like a velvet curtain, enveloping the landscape in a serene calm. The crew of the Artemis, encamped near the site of the vanished city, sat around their equipment, processing the day's surreal events. The air was filled with a mix of scientific debate and bewildered wonder. Dr. Ilara was the first to notice the change in the atmosphere. "Do you feel that?" she whispered, her eyes scanning the dark horizon. The others fell silent, tuning into the subtle shift. The air seemed to vibrate with a faint, unidentifiable energy. It was an electric sensation, prickling at their skin through their suits. Suddenly, out of the darkness emerged figures, shimmering like the rest of the planet's surface. They were creatures composed entirely of glass, reflecting the starlight in a dazzling display. They moved with a fluid grace, their forms humanoid yet distinctly alien. "Look out!" shouted Dr. Kale, as the crew instinctively reached for their defensive gear. The glass creatures advanced rapidly, their movements synchronized and purposeful. They encircled the crew, a ring of glinting figures in the moonlight. Captain Leon Reyes held up his hand, signaling the crew to hold their fire. "Wait. They haven't attacked. They're surrounding us, but not aggressively." The creatures stopped just outside the circle of light cast by the crew's equipment. They stood motionless, as if observing the humans. Milo, his eyes wide with both fear and fascination, murmured, "They're like guardians, protecting something." Dr. Ilara nodded in agreement. "Yes, they seem defensive, not hostile. They're reacting to our presence." Leon stepped forward cautiously, addressing the glass beings. "We come in peace. We mean no harm to you or this planet." To the crew's astonishment, the creatures seemed to understand. They maintained their distance but relaxed their stance, the tension in the air dissipating. After a tense moment, the creatures began to retreat into the darkness, their forms fading into the night until they were indistinguishable from the glassy ground. The team was left in stunned silence, trying to comprehend the encounter. "That was no natural phenomenon," Dr. Kale said, his voice a mix of awe and disbelief. "Those creatures are part of this planet, part of its ecosystem, maybe even its consciousness." Leon nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. "They didn't harm us. They could have easily. They were sending a message." Milo looked at the spot where the creatures had disappeared. "They're protecting this planet. But from what?" The encounter left them with more questions than answers. But one thing was clear. The glass planet was far more complex and alive than they had initially thought. As they settled back into their camp, The crew of the Artemis knew that their mission had taken on a new dimension. They were not just explorers on a strange planet. They were guests, perhaps even intruders, in a world that was watching them just as closely as they were studying it. The dawn on the glass planet broke with a soft luminescence, casting a gentle glow over the landscape. After the previous night's encounter, the crew of the Artemis was eager to further explore this enigmatic world. Captain Leon Reyes decided to lead the team deeper into the terrain, driven by a newfound determination to understand the planet's secrets. As they ventured forth, the ground beneath them began to change. The smooth, mirror-like surface gave way to a more textured terrain. Dr. Ilara noticed it first. "The composition is shifting. It's almost like—" Her words trailed off as they came upon a startling sight. Ahead of them stretched a forest, but unlike any they had known. The trees were made entirely of glass, their trunks rising majestically towards the sky, branches arching and intertwining in intricate patterns. The leaves, if they could be called that, were thin, crystalline structures that tinkled softly in the light breeze, casting prismatic rainbows in all directions. "This is extraordinary," Dr. Ilara breathed, her biologist's curiosity piqued. She approached a tree, her gloves touching the smooth, cool surface. The forest seemed to respond to their presence. The leaves rustled more loudly and a pathway appeared, leading them further in. It was as if the forest itself was guiding them. "This is more than just a geographic feature," Dr. Cale observed, his geologist's eye assessing the structure of the trees. "It's almost like it's alive." Milo, ever the tech enthusiast, was busy recording every detail. "I've never seen anything like this. It's like being inside a giant crystal." The team followed the path, mesmerized by the beauty and the surrealism of their surroundings. The forest's canopy filtered the planet's light, bathing everything in a soft, ethereal glow. As they moved deeper, a sense of calm enveloped them. The forest's ambience was soothing, almost nurturing. It was a stark contrast to the sterile emptiness of the glass plains they had first encountered. Suddenly, the pathway led them to a clearing. In the center stood a structure, different from the trees. It was a monolith, crafted from the same glass but with patterns that spiraled up its surface. It stood there, enigmatic and ancient, as if waiting for them. Dr. Ilara approached the monolith, her hand hovering over the patterns. "This is incredible. It's like it's been waiting here for centuries, just for someone to find it." Leon looked around, his experienced eyes taking in every detail. "This forest, this monolith, it's all part of a bigger picture. We're not just exploring a planet, we're uncovering a mystery." The team gathered around the monolith, contemplating its purpose. It was a moment of awe, a realization that they were standing amidst an alien wonder that defied their understanding of life and nature. As they prepared to examine the monolith further, they couldn't shake the feeling that the forest, with its glass trees and its ancient sentinel, was watching them, perhaps even communicating in a way they had yet to understand. The glass forest was not just a marvel of natural beauty, it was a chapter in the story of the planet, a story they were only beginning to read. In the heart of the glass forest, beneath the shimmering canopy, the crew of the Artemis stood encircled around the mysterious monolith. Its surface was etched with intricate spiraling patterns that seemed to glow faintly as the sunlight filtered through the glass foliage. Dr. Ilara, with a cautious reverence, reached out to touch the monolith. As her fingers grazed the smooth, cool surface, a remarkable thing happened. The patterns began to pulse with light, and a wave of energy rippled through the air. The crew stepped back in astonishment, watching as the monolith seemed to come alive. Then a voice resonated, not through the air, but directly in their minds. It was a deep, harmonious tone that conveyed a sense of ancient wisdom and profound tranquility. "You are not enemies," the voice spoke, echoing within their thoughts. "You seek understanding. You are welcome." The team looked at each other in disbelief. The planet was communicating with them, its consciousness reaching out in a way that defied all known science. "It's the planet! It's alive, and it's speaking to us!" Milo exclaimed, his voice a mix of awe and excitement. Dr. Kale, usually the skeptic, could only nod in agreement. "This changes everything we know about planetary life forms." Captain Leon Reyes, always composed, maintained his focus. "We need to understand. What are you? Why are you reaching out to us?" The monolith pulsed again, and the voice returned. "I am of the planet, and the planet is of me. We are one, as you and your kind are one with your world. We seek harmony, understanding, connection. You are the first to hear my voice in many cycles." The revelation was staggering. They were communicating with a conscious entity that was the planet itself. It was a living, thinking being on a scale they had never imagined. Dr. Ilara stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her initial shock. "You've shown us visions, the Mirage City, the creatures. Are they part of you too?" "Yes," the voice replied. "They are my manifestations, my children. They protect me and maintain the balance. You perceive them as threats, but they are guardians." The crew absorbed this information, their minds racing with the implications of this encounter. They were standing on a world that was not just a collection of ecosystems, but a singular, sentient being. "The Mirage City, was it a test?" Leon asked, trying to piece together their experiences. "In a way, yes. It was to understand your intentions, your nature. You have shown yourselves to be seekers of knowledge, not conquerors. That is why I have revealed myself to you." The team was silent, each member processing the profound nature of this interaction. They were not merely explorers on an alien planet. They were ambassadors encountering a new form of life, one that challenged the very definition of what it meant to be alive. In the wake of their groundbreaking communication with the sentient planet, the crew of the Artemis found themselves re-evaluating their mission. The revelation that the planet was a conscious entity had profound implications, not just for their expedition, but for humanity's understanding of life in the universe. Over the next several days, the team engaged in a series of interactions with the planet, facilitated by the monolith in the glass forest. The entity, speaking through the monolith, shared its perceptions and knowledge in a way that was at once alien and yet strangely comprehensible. Captain Leon Reyes, along with Dr. Ilara and Dr. Kale, spent hours each day at the monolith, engaging in what could only be described as a dialogue with the planet. Milo set up an array of sensors and recording devices around the monolith, capturing every fluctuation and response. The planet's communications were often abstract, conveyed through emotions and mental images rather than words. It shared visions of its history, a tapestry of geological and ecological changes over eons. The crew saw the formation of the glass forest, the evolution of the glass creatures, and the rise and fall of natural phenomena that were beyond their wildest imaginings. It's not just telling us its history. It's showing us how it perceives time and existence, Dr. Ilara observed, deeply moved by the experience. It experiences reality in a way that's fundamentally different from us. Dr. Kale, examining the data collected, added, "Its consciousness is tied to the planet itself. The flora, the fauna, the geological structures, they're all interconnected in a way that forms a collective consciousness." As they pieced together the information, a picture began to emerge of a planet that was a complex living network. The glass creatures, initially perceived as threats, were revealed to be integral parts of this network, acting as protectors and caretakers of the planet's ecosystem. Milo, often the voice of wonder in the group, couldn't hide his excitement. "It's like the whole planet is a giant living organism, and we've just started to communicate with it." Captain Reyes, ever thoughtful, realized the gravity of their discovery. "We've found something extraordinary. This planet challenges our understanding of life itself. It's a living entity on a planetary scale, conscious and aware. Their daily sessions with the monolith became a journey of mutual discovery. The planet was learning about humanity just as the crew was learning about it. It expressed curiosity about human emotions, society, and the concept of individuality, which was foreign to its collective nature. The crew began to feel a sense of connection with the planet. It was no longer an alien landscape to be charted and studied. It was a being with which they could communicate, share experiences, and from which they could learn. As the days passed, the crew of the Artemis realized that they were not just explorers, but also pioneers in a new form of interspecies communication. They were building a bridge between humanity and a form of life so vast and so different that it had once seemed incomprehensible. Several days into their groundbreaking interaction with the glass planet, the crew of the Artemis faced a new and unexpected challenge. The sense of harmony and understanding they had cultivated with the planet was about to be tested. It began subtly. Captain Leon Reyes noticed a change in the atmosphere, a slight shift that set his experienced instincts on edge. The crew had grown accustomed to the serene beauty of the glass forest and the profound tranquility of their communications with the planet. But now, there was a palpable tension in the air, a sense of something impending. The first indication of the test came when the Mirage City reappeared on the horizon. This time, however, it was different. As the crew approached, they found themselves not just observers, but participants in a series of scenarios that seemed designed to challenge their trust and understanding of the glass planet. In one instance, they encountered an illusion of a raging inferno engulfing the city, threatening to consume everything in its path. The heat felt real, the flames licked at their suits, and the smoke choked their lungs. Yet, Captain Reyes urged his crew to remember their experiences with the planet. "This is another mirage, a test of our trust," he said, his voice calm yet firm. "We mustn't falter now." And as they held their ground, the flames vanished as abruptly as they had appeared, revealing the unscathed city once more. In another scenario, they were confronted by hostile creatures, similar to the glass beings they had encountered earlier. But these were more menacing, more aggressive. The crew was poised for defense, but Dr. Elara recalled the previous encounters with the planet's life forms. "These are not the same beings we met before. This is a test of our understanding," she insisted. Taking a leap of faith, they lowered their defenses, and the creatures dissolved into the air, revealing the peaceful glass forest around them once again. Each test seemed to challenge a different aspect of their relationship with the planet. Their trust, their understanding, their willingness to see beyond appearances. The crew of the Artemis navigated these challenges with a growing sense of unity and purpose. Milo, often the most vocal, expressed his realization. The planet is teaching us in its own way. It's showing us that appearances can be deceiving, that we need to look deeper. Dr. Kale, who had always approached their mission with a hint of skepticism, found himself reassessing his perspective. It's about perception. The planet is communicating through these scenarios, testing how we perceive and react to them. As the final test faded away, leaving them once again in the tranquil heart of the glass forest, the crew felt a renewed sense of connection with the planet. They had passed the tests, not by confronting or overcoming them in a traditional sense, but by understanding and trusting in the nature of the glass planet. The tests had served as a crucial turning point in their expedition, deepening their relationship with the planet. It was a clear indication that their journey of discovery was as much about internal reflection and growth as it was about external exploration. After successfully navigating the tests posed by the glass planet, the crew of the Artemis found themselves in a deeper, more profound relationship with the planet. The challenges had not only been trials of their understanding and perception, but also catalysts for a stronger bond between them and the sentient planet. In the days that followed, the planet began to reveal more of itself to the crew. It was as if a veil had been lifted, allowing them to see and experience the glass planet in a way they hadn't before. The once enigmatic and aloof entity was now more open, sharing its wonders more freely. Captain Leon Reyes noticed a significant change in the way the planet communicated. The messages were clearer, more direct, as if the planet had gained a better understanding of how to interact with human consciousness. It shared vivid images and sensations, allowing the crew to experience snippets of its long history. Dr. Alara was particularly fascinated by this development. It's like we're in tune with the planet now. It's sharing its memories, its experiences with us, almost as if we're part of its consciousness. One remarkable revelation was the unveiling of hidden underground caverns beneath the glassy surface. These caverns were filled with luminous crystal formations, creating a dazzling display of light and color. The crew ventured into these caverns, awestruck by the beauty and the feeling of being enveloped by the planet's essence. Milo, equipped with his array of sensors and scanners, was ecstatic. "The data we're collecting is off the charts. This place is a treasure trove of geological and biological wonders." Even Dr. Kale, who had approached everything with a measured, scientific skepticism, found himself overwhelmed by the profound connection they were experiencing. "I came here thinking of rocks and minerals. Now, I feel like we're part of a living, breathing world." The bond they had formed with the glass planet went beyond scientific exploration. It was a symbiotic relationship, one of mutual respect and understanding. The planet had begun to trust them, showing them aspects of itself that were likely never seen by any other life form. The crew's daily reports back to Earth were filled with excitement and wonder. They spoke not just of the scientific discoveries, but of the emotional and spiritual journey they were undergoing. "This mission has changed us," Captain Reyes reflected in one of his reports. "We came here as explorers of a new world, but we're leaving as friends of a living, conscious planet." The bond they had formed with the glass planet was a testament to their openness, their willingness to understand and respect a form of life so different from their own. They had come seeking knowledge and had found wisdom. They had come as strangers and were now allies. As they continued their exploration, each new discovery deepened their connection with the planet. The glass planet, once a mystery, was now a friend. Its once silent voice now a chorus of shared experiences and understanding. The newfound bond between the crew of the Artemis and the glass planet was soon to be tested by an unforeseen challenge. What began as a routine day of exploration and interaction with the planet took a drastic turn when Dr. Kale, monitoring environmental data, noticed an alarming trend. "There's a significant atmospheric disturbance forming," he announced, his voice laced with urgency. "It's like nothing I've seen before." Gathering around the data screens, the crew saw the images of a massive cosmic storm approaching the planet. Its scale was immense, and its energy readings were off the charts. This was no ordinary storm. It was a maelstrom of cosmic proportions, capable of ravaging the planet. Captain Leon Reyes assessed the situation with a calm, decisive demeanor. "We need to prepare. This storm could threaten the entire mission." The crew set to work, securing their equipment and fortifying their temporary base. But as they worked, they realized the magnitude of the threat. The storm was moving faster than anticipated, its swirling mass of cosmic energy growing more menacing by the minute. Milo looked up from his instruments, his usual enthusiasm replaced by a hint of fear. "We can't just bunker down. This storm could tear everything apart, including the Artemis." Dr. Alara, always sensitive to the planet's nuances, had another concern. "What about the planet? This storm could devastate its ecosystem." The crew fell silent, contemplating the gravity of the situation. They had come to know the glass planet not just as a place of research, but as a living entity with which they had formed a deep connection. It was then that they felt a stirring in their minds, the familiar voice of the planet resonating within their consciousness. "You are in danger," the planet communicated. "The storm is a destructive force, unlike any I have faced before." The realization hit them hard. They were not just facing a threat to their mission, but to the planet itself, a planet that had welcomed them, shared its secrets with them. "We can't leave," Milo said, his voice firm. "We have to help somehow." Captain Reyes nodded, his resolve clear. "We stand with the planet. We'll do everything we can to protect it and ourselves." The decision was unanimous. The crew of the Artemis would face the storm alongside the glass planet. As the storm drew nearer, the planet's voice echoed in their minds, a mixture of gratitude and determination. "Together," it said, "we will endure." The crew worked tirelessly, implementing every possible measure to protect their base and the Artemis. But as the storm engulfed the planet, their efforts seemed like a drop in the ocean against the cosmic fury they faced. The glass planet, for its part, responded to the threat with its own defenses. The glass creatures, once seen as enigmatic guardians, now rallied, forming protective barriers around key areas of the planet's surface. The crew watched in awe as the planet and its inhabitants braced for the storm, a united front against a common enemy. It was a battle for survival, one that they now faced together. As the first tendrils of the storm reached the planet, the sky erupted in a display of cosmic power, a testament to the ferocity of the universe. The crew of the Artemis, standing with the glass planet, faced the storm head-on, ready to defend their newfound ally in its hour of need. The cosmic storm descended upon the glass planet with a ferocity that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The sky turned a tumultuous mix of colors as swirling clouds of cosmic energy churned above. The crew of the Artemis, alongside the sentient planet, braced themselves for the onslaught. Captain Leon Reyes and his crew had fortified their base as best as they could, but as the storm hit, it became clear that this was a force beyond their most extreme predictions. The winds howled with the power of 1,000 gales, and the ground trembled under the storm's might. Milo, peering out from the relative safety of their shelter, watched in horror and fascination. "I've never seen anything like this. It's like the whole universe is angry." Dr. Ilara, her eyes fixed on the sensors, noted the unprecedented energy readings. The planet's surface is reacting, the glass is... It's almost like it's alive, moving in response to the storm. Indeed, the glassy terrain of the planet was undulating, forming barriers and ridges as if in an attempt to deflect the storm's wrath. The glass creatures, which the crew had come to understand as part of the planet's consciousness, were at the forefront of this defense. They moved with purpose, their bodies shimmering as they absorbed and redirected the storm's energy. Captain Reyes, watching the scene unfold, felt a deep sense of solidarity with the planet. "It's fighting to protect itself and us," he said, his voice filled with resolve. "We must do everything we can to assist." The crew worked tirelessly, utilizing their technology to bolster the planet's defenses. They deployed energy shields and reinforced their base, turning it into a makeshift stronghold. Milo, with his technical expertise, rigged up a series of amplifiers to enhance the planet's natural defense mechanisms. As the storm raged on, an extraordinary event unfolded. The glass planet, responding to the crew's efforts, began to channel some of its energy through the Artemis's systems, creating a symbiotic defense network. The ship's shields glowed brighter, reinforced by the planet's power. Dr. Kale, observing this phenomenon, was amazed. The planet? It's not just protecting itself, it's protecting us, actively working with our technology. The battle against the storm became a display of unity between the crew and the planet. They were no longer separate entities fighting for survival. They had become allies. their strengths and capabilities intertwined. For hours, the storm raged, a relentless barrage of cosmic fury. But gradually, the defenses held by the combined forces of the crew and the planet began to turn the tide. The storm's energy started to dissipate, its once overwhelming power waning under their united front. As the storm finally began to recede, the crew of the Artemis and the consciousness of the glass planet watched together as the skies cleared, revealing the stars once more. The planet's surface settled, its glassy terrain calming into stillness. The aftermath of the storm left a scene of both devastation and beauty. The planet had changed, its surface marked by the battle, but it was still alive, still vibrant. The crew emerged from their shelter, looking out over the transformed landscape. They had faced the fury of the cosmos and had emerged victorious, not through conquest, but through cooperation and mutual protection. "We did it," Milo said, his voice filled with relief and wonder. "Together, we weathered the storm." Captain Reyes looked out at the horizon, where the first light of dawn was breaking. "This planet is more than just a discovery. It's a partner, a fellow traveler in the vastness of space." The storm had been a crucible, testing and ultimately strengthening the bond between the Artemis crew and the glass planet. They had faced one of the universe's greatest furies and had emerged not just unscathed, but united in a bond that transcended species and worlds. In the quiet that followed the storm, the crew of the Artemis stepped out onto the now tranquil surface of the glass planet. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of ionized energy, a remnant of the cosmic tempest that had just passed. The landscape around them bore the scars of the storm, gorges carved into the glassy terrain, shards glittering in the newly emerged sunlight. Captain Leon Reyes surveyed the scene with a mix of relief and contemplation. The planet had withstood the storm, but not without cost. The once smooth and reflective surface was now a mosaic of fractures and patterns, each telling a story of the battle they had just endured. Dr. Ilara, her biologist's heart ever inquisitive, was examining the changes in the planet's ecosystem. The flora and fauna, they've adapted already. It's incredible. The storm has altered them, but they're thriving in this new environment. Milo, checking the instruments and sensors they had set up, reported with a sense of wonder in his voice. The storm's energy has infused the planet with new life. The readings are off the charts. It's like the storm awakened something dormant. Dr. Kale, examining a large shard of glass, added, "The geological impact is immense. This event will redefine our understanding of planetary evolution." As they walked through the altered landscape, the crew noticed that the glass creatures, the planet's protectors, were also changed. They moved with a new purpose, tending to the damaged areas, their forms shimmering with an inner light that was more pronounced than before. The crew felt a profound sense of connection with the planet, having shared in its trial and triumph. The bond that had been formed during the storm was now indelible, a mutual respect and understanding that went beyond mere scientific curiosity. "It's not just that we helped the planet," Leon reflected. "It's that we faced a challenge together, as equals. We've become part of this world's story." The voice of the planet, now a familiar presence in their minds, resonated with gratitude and wisdom. "You have become more than visitors. You are now part of me as I am part of you. Together we have faced the fury of the cosmos and prevailed." The crew spent the following days assisting in the planet's recovery, working alongside the glass creatures to repair and restore what had been damaged. Their mission had evolved from exploration to cohabitation, their objectives intertwined with the well-being of the planet. As they worked, they shared their own stories with the planet, their hopes, dreams, and fears. In return, the planet shared more of its memories, its history stretching back eons, a tapestry of cosmic events that had shaped its existence. The aftermath of the storm had brought a new era for both the crew of the Artemis and the glass planet. They had emerged from the ordeal not just as survivors, but as partners in a shared journey, their destinies intertwined in the dance of the cosmos. The experience had changed them all in profound ways. They had come to the glass planet as explorers seeking knowledge and had found wisdom, friendship, and a deeper understanding of the universe's myriad forms of life. As they prepared to continue their mission, with plans to share their incredible experience with Earth, they knew that they were leaving a part of themselves behind on the glass planet. As the time for departure from the glass planet approached, the crew of the Artemis experienced a mix of emotions. The planet had become more than a research location. It had become a place of profound connection and discovery. Captain Leon Reyes and his team prepared the spacecraft for the journey back to Earth, each member absorbed in their own reflections of the time spent on this remarkable world. Dr. Alara was busy cataloguing the final samples and data. "Leaving here is bittersweet," she confessed. "We've learned so much, yet I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what this planet has to offer." Milo, who had grown immensely during the mission, both in skill and in perspective, was checking and rechecking the Artemis's systems. "I never imagined we'd find something like this. It's hard to say goodbye." Dr. Kale, looking out at the landscape, added, "We came here as scientists and explorers. We're leaving as something more. This planet has changed us." The crew gathered for one last visit to the glass forest and the monolith, which had been the center of their extraordinary interactions with the planet. As they approached, the familiar voice of the planet echoed in their minds, a presence that had become both comforting and inspiring. "You have been more than visitors. You have been friends and allies," the planet communicated. "Your presence here will be remembered, as will the bond we have formed." The crew stood in silence, each feeling the weight of the moment. They had come to this planet as strangers and were leaving as part of its history. Captain Reyes, always the anchor of the team, spoke. "We came here seeking knowledge, and we found understanding and friendship. What we've experienced here will stay with us forever. We promise to share your story with our world." The monolith glowed softly, a sign of the planet's consciousness acknowledging their words. "Go forth with my memories, my friends. Share our story, as I will share yours. This is not an end, but a beginning. Our connection will endure beyond distance and time." Returning to the Artemis, the crew made their final preparations for departure. As the spacecraft lifted off, they watched the surface of the glass planet fall away beneath them, its vast, shimmering expanse a final image imprinted in their memories. As they ascended into space, the crew looked back at the glass planet, its surface now a familiar sight, a place of wonder and connection. They knew that while they were returning to their home, they were also leaving a part of themselves behind. The journey back to Earth was a time of reflection and anticipation. They were returning with incredible stories to tell, groundbreaking scientific discoveries to share, and a new understanding of the universe's capacity for life and consciousness. The glass planet had been a destination, but it had become a turning point in their lives and careers. They had embarked on a mission of exploration and had found a profound connection that transcended the boundaries of worlds. Upon their return to Earth, the crew of the Artemis were hailed as pioneers, their mission celebrated as a monumental achievement in space exploration. The scientific community and the public were eager to hear about their experiences on the glass planet. Captain Leon Reyes, Dr. Alara, Dr. Kale, and Milo became the faces of this groundbreaking mission, sharing their story with the world. As they presented their findings, the most astonishing discovery came not from the tales of their interactions with the planet's consciousness, but from the analysis of the samples they had brought back. Dr. Alara, leading the research team, announced the groundbreaking discovery during a widely broadcasted scientific conference. "We found something in the samples from the glass planet that challenges our understanding of life and consciousness," she began. "A unique element, unlike anything we've encountered before. It has properties that mirror human consciousness." The revelation sent ripples through the scientific community. The element, which they named sentium, exhibited qualities that suggested it could interact with and perhaps even influence neural activity. It's as if this element is a bridge between life as we know it and the consciousness of the planet, Dr. Kale explained. It suggests a level of bioneurological integration far beyond our current understanding. The implications were profound. This discovery suggested that the glass planet's ability to communicate and interact with the crew was facilitated by this element, which had somehow attuned itself to human consciousness. Captain Ray's, reflecting on their experiences, added a deeper insight. It wasn't just that we found the glass planet. In a way, it found us, our interactions, our thoughts and emotions. It mirrored them through this element. We were connected on a fundamental level. The revelation sparked a new wave of interest in the glass planet. Scientists theorized about the possibilities of sentium, from advancing neuroscience to fostering new methods of communication across species. It opened up a new frontier in the understanding of consciousness as a universal phenomenon. But the most profound impact was on the crew themselves. Milo, speaking at a public forum, shared his perspective. When we were there, we felt a bond with the planet, a sense of understanding and being understood. Now we know why. We were connected not just emotionally or spiritually, but on a neurochemical level. The twist in their discovery changed the narrative of their mission. It was no longer just a story of human explorers on an alien planet. It was a story of connection, of two vastly different forms of life finding common ground through a shared element that bridged their existences. As the crew continued to share their story and work on the research, they carried with them a profound sense of wonder and a new appreciation for the interconnectedness of all life. The glass planet had indeed reached out across the cosmos, touching their minds and hearts in a way that would forever change their understanding of the universe. Their mission had begun as a journey to the stars, but it had become a journey into the depths of consciousness and connection. The glass planet, with its mysterious sentium element, had not only opened a new chapter in space exploration, but had also offered a glimpse into the potential unity of life throughout the cosmos.